I demand a trial by combat.
This is Let's Get Litty Read Along, GOT edition. Escape into the land of Westeros each week as we travel through the Seven Kingdoms. Which house will prevail and rule the Iron Throne, or gain its independence? Is a bigger evil really lurking beyond the wall? With decade-long summers and even longer winters, grab your favorite drink, sit back, and relax because reading is coming. Hello, everyone. Welcome back, litigators. If you're just jumping over from the episode right before, we are picking up where we are. Nope, we're picking up where we left off. Now, we came into this one with a whole different vibe. Yesterday, whenever we recorded, it was depressing, messy, sad. Tonight, we're still a little depressing and messy, but we have wine, so we're not sad. So, cheers to you, cheers to me, cheers to what will be. We're gonna read, we're gonna drink, and be merry, y'all. So just right off the bat, one drink for you, one drink for me, and let's fucking go. I don't really have much to talk about because not a lot has changed from yesterday to today. It's still been a shitty kind of month slash week, but it's the weekend and we love a weekend. So we're gonna pick right back up with our favorite person. Not really. Catelyn. Catelyn Stark, little skank ass. That was aggressive, and I'm not sorry. But maybe we should do something fun. I don't know what I'm doing. Whoa! Okay. Okay. As you can see, I'm watching Bridgerton because season 3 is about to come out. So it's a good rewatch. And you know, the Duke. If you know, you know. And then Cat's me. Just we're just gonna get hype. And I'm feeling like this isn't a fun enough cup, so I think we're gonna pull out our trusty purple glass that's kind of dirty, but it's fine. And or should we fishbowl wine? Should we just do it? I brought this home from a work trip. And she should we just pour like okay, we'll keep this for now. And then after we play some music, we'll just fiddle around, you know? But I'm gonna pour the straw from this fishy bowl. Oh my God. Does the lid work? No, it does not work. But the straw will. We come locked and loaded in the pod studio. Okay. So without further ado, I offer you some hardcore, bardcore, medieval, hip hop rendition of Get Busy by Sharp Paul. Oh, 1 second. Okay. That's not the right song. We'll jam. Should I read the back of the book over this? In a Game of Thrones, George has created a genuine masterpiece, bringing together the best genre has to offer: mystery, intrigue, romance, and adventure. Fill the pages of the first volume in an epic series sure to delight fantasy fans everywhere. Is this like what slam poetry is, or dramatic readings and talent shows? In a land where summers can last decades and winters a lifetime, trouble is brewing. The cold is returning, and in the frozen waters, nope, and in the frozen waste to the north of Winterfell, sinister and supernatural forces are massing beyond the king's protective wall. At the center of the conflict lie the Starks of Winterfell, a family as harsh and unyielding as the land they were born to. Okay, we gotta go to the next one. Oh god, I was making myself laugh cry with that. Where? Sweeping from a land of brutal cold to a distant summertime kingdom of east plenty. Here is a tale of lords and ladies, soldiers and sorcerers, assassins and bastards who come together in a time of grim omens, amid plots and counterplots. Tragedy. Nope. Amid plots and counterplots, tragedy and betrayal, victory and terror, the fate of the Starks, their allies and their enemies, hangs perilously in the balance as each endeavors to win the deadliest of conflicts, the Game of Thrones. Okay. Well, I just made myself laugh, so if no one else laughs, I'm happy with myself. That was funny. Ooh, okay. I think that's a good cue to just jump right in. And we are still fishbowling, so what should the word of the week be? Let's go with bastard. Um, Bastard, the North, and King's Landing. So take a drink of whatever. Catelyn had insisted on the galley. It was a it was good. It was good that she had. The winds had been against them much of the voyage, and without the galley's oars, it's nope, we did read this. One moment. All right, here we go. The captain was just telling me that our voyage is almost to an end, she said. Sir Roderick managed a weary smile. So soon? He looked odd without his great white side whiskers, smaller somehow, less fierce, and 10 years older. Yet back on the Bight it had seemed prudent to submit to a crewman's razor. After his whiskers had become hopelessly befooled for the third time, while he leaned over the rail and retched into the swirling winds. I will leave you to discuss your business, Captain Moreo said. He bowed and took his leave of them. The galley skimmed the water like a dragonfly, her oars rising and falling in perfect time. Sir Roderick held the rail and looked over the passing shore. I have not been the most valiant of protectors. Catelyn touched his arm. We are here, Sir Roderick, and safely. That is all that truly matters. Her hand groped beneath the cloak, her fingers stiff and fumbling. The dagger was still at her side. She found she had to touch it now and then to reassure herself. Now we must reach the king's maester at arms and pray that he can be trusted. Sir Aaron Sanchagar is a vain man, but an honest one. Sir Roderick's hand went to his face to stroke his whiskers and discovered once again that they were gone. He looked nonplussed. He may know the blade, yes, but, my lady, the moment we go ashore, we are at risk, and there are those at court who will know you on sight. Catelyn's mouth grew tight. Littlefinger, she murmured. His face swam up before her, a boy's face, though he was a boy no longer. His father had died several years before, so he was Lord Baelish now, yet still they called him Littlefinger. Her brother Edmure had given him that name long ago at Riverrun. His family's modest holdings were on the smallest of the fingers, and Peter had been slight and short for his age. Sir Roger cleared his throat. Lord Baelish once. His that trailed off uncertainly in a search of the polite word. Catelyn was past delicacy. He was my father's ward. We grew up together in Riverrun. I thought of him as a brother, but he had feelings for me. But his feelings for me were more than brotherly. When it was announced that I was to wed Brandon Stark, Peter challenged for the right to my hand. It was madness. Brandon was 20, Peter scarcely 15. I had to beg Brandon to spare Peter's life. He had let him off with a scare. Afterward, my father sent him away. I have not seen him since. She lifted her face to spray as the brisk wind could blow the memories away. He wrote to me at Riverrun after Brandon was killed, but I burned the letter unread. By then I knew that Ned would marry me in his brother's place. Sir Roderick's fingers fumbled once again for the non-existent whiskers. Littlefinger sits on the small council now. I knew he would rise high, Catelyn said. He was always clever, even as a boy, but it is one thing to be clever and another to be wise. I wonder what the years have done to him. High overhead, the far eyes sang out from the rigging. Captain Mario came scrambling across the deck, giving orders, and all around them the storm dancer burst into frantic activity as King's Landing slid into view atop its three high hills. Take a drink. Uh, Closer. 300 years ago, Catelyn knew those heights had been covered with forest, and only a handful of fisher folk had lived on the north shore of the Blackwater Rush, where that deep, swift river flowed into the sea. Then Aegon the Conqueror had sailed from Dragonstone. It was here that his army had put ashore, and there on the highest hill that he had built his first crude redoubt of wood and earth. Now the city covered the shore as far as Catelyn could see. Manses and arbors and granary brick storehouses and timbered ends and merchant stalls, taverns and graveyards and brothels all piled on one another. She could hear the clamor of the fish market, even at its distance. Between the buildings were broad roads lined with trees, wandering crockback streets, and alleys so narrow that two men could walk abreast. Venetia's hill was crowned by the great sept of the Bela, with its 7 crystal towers. Across the city of the hill of Reynas, stood the blackened walls of Dragon Pit. Its huge dome collapsed into the ruin. Its bronze doors closed for now a century. House of Dragon. The Street of the Sisters ran between them, straight as an arrow. The city walls rose in the distance, high and strong. 100 quays lined the waterfront, and the harbour was crowded with ships. Deep water fishing boats and river runners came and went. Ferrymen pulled back and forth across the Blackwater rush. Trading galleys unloaded goods from bravos and pentos and lies. Catelyn spied the Queen's ornate barge tied up beside a fat-bellied whaler from the port of Ibn, a tall black with tar. While upriver, a dozen lean golden warships rested in their cribs, sails furled and cruel, iron rams lamping at the water. And above it all, frowning down from Aegon's high hill, was the Red Keep. 7 huge drum towers crowned with iron ramparts, an immense grim barrack, vaulted halls and covered bridges, barracks and dungeons and granaries, massive curtain walls studded with archer nests, all fashioned of a pale red stone. Aegon the Conqueror had commanded it built. His son Maegor the Cruel had seen it completed. Afterward, he had taken the heads of every stonesman, stonemason, woodworker, and builder who had labored on it. Only the blood of the dragon would ever know the secrets of the fortress of the Dragon Lords built, he vowed. Yet now the banners flew from its battlements were golden, not black, and where the 3-headed dragon once breathed fire, now pranced the crowned stag of House Baratheon. A high-masted swan ship from the Summer's Isles was beating out of the port. Its white sails huge with wind, the storm dancer moved past it, pulling steadily for shore. "My lady," Sir Roderick said, "I have thought on how best to proceed while I lay abed. You must not enter the castle. I will go in your stead and bring Sir Aaron to you in some safe place." She studied the old King Knight as the galley drew near to appear. Morea was shouting in the vulgar Valerian of the Free Cities. "You would as much be at risk as I would." Sir Roderick smiled. "I think not. I looked at my reflection in the water earlier and scarcely recognized myself. My mother was the last person to see me without whiskers, and she is 40 years dead. I believe I am safe enough, my lady." Moreo bellowed a command. As 60 oars lifted from the river, then reversed and backed water. The galley slowed, another shout. The oars slid back inside the hull. As they thumped against the dock, Tyroshi seamen leapt down to tie up. Moreo came bustling up, all smiles. "King's Landing, my lady. As you did command, never had a ship made a swifter or surer passage. Will you be needed assistance to carry your things up to the castle?" "We shall not be going to the castle. Perhaps you can suggest an inn, some place clean and comfortable, not too far from the river." The Tyroshi fingered his forked green beard. "Just so. I know of several establishments that might suit your needs. Yet first, if I may be so bold, there's a matter of the second half of the payment we agreed upon. And of course, the extra silver you were so kind to promise. 60 stags, I believe it was?" "For the Ormond," Catelyn reminded him. "Oh, of certainty," said Moreo, "though perhaps I should hold on to it for them until we return to Tyrosh. For the sake of their wives and children. If I give you—" "Oh, right, motherfuckers!" So sorry for interblowing with you. "If you give them silver here, my lady, they will dice it away or spend it all for a night's pleasure." "There are worse things to spend money on," Sir Roderick put in. "Winter is coming." "A man must make his own choices," Catelyn said. "They earn the silver, how they spend it is no concern of mine." "As you say, my lady," Moreo replied, bowing and smiling. Just to be sure, Catelyn paid the Ormond herself, a stag to each man, and a copper to the 2 men who carried their chests halfway up Visinia's hill to the inn that Moreo had suggested. It was a rambling old place on El Alley. The woman who owned it was sour crone with a wondering eye, and who looked them over suspiciously, and bit the coin that Catelyn had offered to make sure it was real. Her rooms were large and airy, though, and Moreo swore that the fish stew was the most savoury in all the Seven Kingdoms. Best of all, she had no interest in their names. I think it best if you stay away from the common room, Sir Roderick said, after they had settled in. Even in a place like this, one never knows who may be watching. He wore a ringmail, dagger, and long sword under a dark cloak with a hood he could pull up over his head. I will be back before nightfall with Sir Aaron, he promised. Rest now, my lady. My right eye is getting squinty. So, fun fact about me, the drunker, tipsier I get, the squintier my right eye becomes. And it's becoming a little squinty. So, watch out, everybody. Catelyn was tired. The voyage had been long and fatiguing, and she was no longer as young as she had been. Her windows opened on the alley and rooftops with a view of the Blackwater beyond. She watched Sir Roderick set off, striding briskly through the streets until he was lost in the crowds, then decided to take his advice. The bedding was stuffed with straw instead of feathers, but she had no trouble falling asleep. She woke to a pounding on her door. Catelyn sat up sharply. Outside the window, the rooftops of King's Landing were red in the light of the setting sun. She had slept longer than she had intended. A fist hammered on her door again, and a voice called out, "Open, in the name of the king!" "A moment," she called out. She wrapped herself in her cloak. The dagger was on the bedside table. She snatched it up before she unlatched the heavy wooden door. The men who pushed into the room were the black ringmail of the golden cloaks of the city watch. Their leader smiled at the dagger in her hand and said, "No need for that, my lady. We're here to escort you to the castle." "By whose authority?" she said. He showed her a ribbon. Catelyn felt her breath catch in her throat. The seal was a mockingbird in gray wax. "Peter," she said, "so soon. Something must have happened to Sir Roderick." She looked at the head guardsman. "Do you know who I am?" "No, my lady," he said. "My Lord Littlefinger said only to bring you to him and see that you were not mistreated." Catelyn nodded. "You may wait outside while I dress." She bathed her hands in the basin and wrapped them in the clean linen. Her fingers were thick and awkward as she struggled to lace up her bodice and knot a drab-down cloak around her neck. How could Littlefinger have known she was here? Sir Roderick would never have told him. Old he might be, but he was stubborn and loyal to a fault. Were they too late? Had the Lannisters reached King's Landing before her? No, if that were true, Ned would be here too, and surely he would come to her. How? Then she thought, Moreo. The Tyroshi knew who they were and what they were. Damn him, she'd hoped he'd gotten a good price for the information. They had brought a horse for her. The lamps were being lit along the streets as they set out, and Catelyn felt the eyes of the city on her as she rode, surrounded by the guard in the golden cloaks. When they reached the Red Keep, the portcullis was down and the great gates sealed for the night. But the castle windows were alive with flickering lights. The guardsmen left the mount outside the walls and escorted her through the narrow postern door, then up the endless steps to a tower. He was alone in the room, seated at a heavy wooden table, an oil lamp beside him as he wrote. When they ushered her inside, he sat down his pen and looked at her. "Cat," he said quietly, "why have I been brought here in this fashion?" He rose and gestured brusquely to the guards. "Leave us." The men departed. "You were not mistreated, I trust," he said after they had gone. "I gave firm instructions." He noticed the bandages. "Bandages, my lord! Take a drink, because I can't read." Back to life, back to reality. I guess this is actually back to fiction, right? Because fiction is not real and nonfiction is real because it always fucked me up as a kid because you would think nonfiction would be not real and it's not. It is real. So there's that. Okay. I gave firm instructions. He noticed her bandage. Johans. Catelyn ignored the implied question. I am not accustomed to being summoned like a serving wench, she said icily. As a boy, you still knew the meaning of courtesy. I've angered you, my lady. That was never my intent. He looked contrite. The look brought back vivid memories for Catelyn. He had been a sly child, but after his mischiefs he always looked contrite. It was his gift he had. The years had not changed him much. Peter had been a small boy, and he had grown into a small man and an inch or two shorter than Catelyn, slender and quick, with the sharp features she remembered, and the same laughing gray green eyes. He had a little pointed chin beard now, all threads of silver in his dark hair, though he was still shy of 30. They went well with the silver mockingbird that fastened his cloak. Even as a child, he had always loved his silver. How did you know I was in the city? She asked him. Lord Varys knows all, Peter said with a sly smile. You'll be joining us shortly, but I wanted to see you alone first. It's been too long, Cat. How many years? Catelyn ignored his familiarity. There were more important questions. So it was the king spider who found me. Littlefinger winced. You don't want to call him that. He's very sensitive. Comes of being a eunuch, I imagine. Nothing happens in the city without Varys knowing. Oftentimes he knows about it before it happens. He has informants everywhere. His little birds, he calls them. One of his little birds heard about your visit, thankfully. Varys came to me first. Why you? He shrugged. Why not me? I am master of the coin, the king's own counselor. Slimy, and Lord Renly rode north to meet Robert, and Lord Stannis is gone to Dragonstone, leaving only Maester Pycelle and me. I was the obvious choice. I was ever a friend to your sister Liza. Varys knows that. Does Varys know about? Lord Varys knows about everything. Bleh. Except why you are here. He lifted an eyebrow. Why are you here? A wife is allowed to yearn for her husband, and if a mother needs her daughter's clothes, who can tell her no? Littlefinger laughed. Oh, very good, my lady, but please don't expect me to believe that. I know you too well. What were the Tully words again? Her throat was dry. Family, duty, honor. She recited stiffly. Nope, he did know her too well. So boring, you guys. I can't stand her. I just don't know why. She's just not one of my favorite characters, and her chapters are so freaking boring to me. It's dreadful. Just take a drink to get through Catelyn's thoughts because I'm Catelyn Stark and I'm so good. And I hate John because he's a bastard, even though he's not really a bastard. I just don't know he's not a bastard. And he's actually not a bastard. Don't spoil things. All right. Rant over. Family, duty, honor, he echoed, all of which are required you to remain in Winterfell, where our hand left you. No, my lady, something has happened. This sudden trip of yours bespeaks a certain urgency. I beg of you, let me help. Old sweet friends should never hesitate to rely upon each other. There was a soft knock on the door. Enter, Littlefinger called out. The man who stepped through the door was plump, perfumed, powdered, and hairless as an egg. He wore a vest of woven gold thread over a loose gown of purple silk, and on his feet were pointed slippers of soft velvet. Lady Stark, he said, taking her hand in both of his, to see you again after so many years is such a joy. His flesh was soft and moist, and his breath smelled of lilacs. Oh, your poor hands! Have you burned yourself, sweet lady? The fingers are so delicate. Our good Maester Pricel makes a marvelous salve. Shall I send for a jar? Catelyn slid her fingers from his grasp. I thank you, my lord, but my own Maester Lewin has already seen to my hurts. Varys bobbed his head. I was grievous sad to hear about your son, and him so young. The gods are cruel. On that we agreed, Lord Varys, she said. The title was but a courtesy due to him as a council member. Varys was lord of nothing but the spider web, the master of none but his whispers. The eunuch spread his soft hands. One more than that, I hope, sweet lady. I have a great esteem for your husband, our new hand, and I know we both do love King Robert. Yes, she was forced to say, for a certainty. Never has a king been so beloved as our Robert, quipped Littlefinger. He smiled slyly, at least in Lord Varys's hearing. Good lady, Varys said with great solicitude. There are men in the free cities with wondrous healing powers. Say only the word, and I will send for one for your dear Bran. Maester Lewin is doing all that can be done for Bran, she told him. She would not speak of Bran, not here, not with these men. She trusted Littlefinger only a little, and Varys not at all. She would not let them see her grief. Lord Baelish tells me that I have you to thank for bringing me here. Varys giggled like a little girl. Oh, yes, I suppose I am guilty. I hope you forgive me, kind lady. He eased himself down into the seat and put his hands together. I wonder if we might trouble you to show us the dagger. Catelyn Stark stared at the eunuch in stunned disbelief. He was a spider, she thought wildly. He knew things no one could possibly know. Unless, what have you done with Sir Roderick? She demanded. Littlefinger was lost. I feel rather the knight who arrived at the battle without his lance. What dagger are you talking about? Who is Sir Roderick? Sir Roderick Cassel is the master-at-arms at Winterfell, Varys informed him. I assure you, Lady Stark, nothing at all has been done to the good knight. He did call here early this afternoon. He visited with Sir Aaron Standigar in the armory, and they talked of a certain dagger. About the sunset, they left the castle together and walked to that dreadful hovel where you were staying. They are still there, drinking in the common room, waiting for your return. Sir Roderick was very distressed to find you gone. How could you know all that? The whisperings of little birds, Varys said, smiling. I know things, sweet lady. That is the nature of my service. He shrugged. You do have the dagger with you, yes? Catelyn pulled it out from beneath her cloak and threw it down on the table in front of him. Here, perhaps your little birds will whisper the name of the man it belongs to. Varys lifted the knife with exaggerated delicacy and ran a thumb along its edge. Blood welled, he let out a squeal and dropped the dagger back on his table. Careful, Catelyn told him. It's sharp. Nothing holds an edge on the Valyrian steel, Littlefinger said as Varys sucked at his bleeding thumb and looked at Catelyn with sullen abomination. Littlefinger hefted the knife lightly in his hand, testing the grip. He flipped it in the air, caught it again with his other hand. Such sweet balance. You want to find the owner. Is that the reason for your visit? You have no need for Sir Aaron for that, my lady. You should have come to me. And if I had, she said, what would you have told me? I would have told you that there was only one knife like this in King's Landing. Blech. He grasped the blade between thumb and forefinger, drew it back over his shoulder, and threw it across the room with a practiced flick of his wrist. It stuck, it struck the door and buried itself deep in the oak, quivering. It's mine. Yours? It made no sense. Peter had not been at Winterfell. Until the tourney on Prince Joffrey's name day, he said, crossing the room to wrench the dagger from the wood. I backed Sir Jamie in the jousting along with half the court. Peter's sheepish grin made him look like a boy again. When Loras Tyrell unhorsed him, many of us became a trifle poorer. Sir Jamie lost 100 golden dragons, and the Queen lost an emerald pendant, and I lost my knife. Her Grace got the emerald back, but the winner kept the rest. Who? Catelyn demanded, her mouth dry with fear. Her fingers ached with remembered pain. The imp, said Littlefinger as Lord Varys watched her face. Tyrion Lannister. Okay, next episode, we have our boy Johnny back. We love Tyrion and we love Jon Jon. But remember, Jon Jon's only 14 in this first book. He's not old like Kit Harington, so don't love Jon Jon too much. Okay, listen, y'all. The dance season is almost over. We are literally only a couple days away. Nope, a couple weeks away from that being over, soccer being over. So we are going to crank out so many episodes and we will get through this first book quickly, even if I have to spend a whole day recording a long ass episode, we will. I just cannot function right now, and I'm ready for summer vacation. So bottoms up, one final drink for the Litties and the Gators. Nope, litigators, that's right, litigators. Actually, I don't think okay. That wine is like too sweet to chug. I also made some noodle brownies tonight, so that's fun. Okay, well, you guys have a fantastic night. I'm gonna go keep watching Bridgerton or scary movies, like the franchise scary movie, not actual scary movies, because I'm a little wimp. I cannot do scary movies on my own or with people, so fun fact about me. But I hope everyone has a fun weekend. The full moon has been crazy, but we got this. Rock out, peace out, Girl Scout out. Mwah. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow. You can follow me on Insta on our FMN account and my personal account. And you can find us on TikTok under Let's Get Litty Read Along or my regular TikTok. And follow us on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple. Help your girl out.